Alright, it's the Visual Soldier Kyle here, and you're here for a whole, another edition of the Education System Exposed. Now, today we're going to be talking about evolution. This is part 2 in my video series. Now, I just wanted to talk to you all about evolution and why it shouldn't be taught. Now, I'm going to show you something right here. This is an article here in the Institute for Creation Research by Joseph Mastropole, I don't know, PhD. He's basically explaining how evolution is biologically impossible. Now, I've already looked into this, and he's right. First of all, I want to say something. Natural selection and evolution are two completely different things. Now, let me explain a second. You can get different dogs breeding, and you get different kinds of dogs, if you get what I mean. Different kinds within the species. But you can't actually evolve to become a different species. Microevolution does exist, but macro doesn't. It's never been proven. There's too many missing links. Scientists never really admit this, but there are missing links. You'll know this. They're still looking for them, and they will never find these missing links because they can't. I'm going to ask you all one question. If macroevolution was true, then how come there's not people like today who are, how to put this, how come there's not a species that's okay, a type of monkey that's in the middle of process of evolving to become a human type animal? And how come that people like Eskimos don't have fur over them? Let me just ask you that question. Because surely there'd be a species, a kind of monkey that's in the middle of evolving from monkey to human. Or not exactly human, but a type of human, if you get what I mean. And Eskimos would have fur all over them. You see? It's biologically impossible. You see, it's natural selection cannot apply outside of that person's DNA limit. And I've got a bit of a scenario for you. This is for the way that people say that whales used to be land animals. It's kind of impossible. Now let me explain. Okay. If I were to go and try and live in the sea, I'd drown. I don't have the body that a whale does. I can't breathe the way a whale does. I can't hold my breath for hours and then take one when I get out. That's just biologically impossible. And I can't just do that overnight. Now, the theory is that they evolve over millions and millions of years. But the thing is, explain to me, why would they evolve? It's like land animals are not going to live in water, and why would they magically evolve to this new breathing ability, even though that they're breathing oxygen all the time? They'd just die if they went underwater. If you understand what I mean, it's kind of impossible for whales to evolve like that. And the fact is, it's kind of not really possible for them to lose their legs, because why would you be swimming in the water with legs anyway? You'd die, you'd be exhausted. It's just scientifically impossible. Just use your logic. Whales couldn't have really evolved to become sea creatures. It just doesn't work out. Surely they breathe oxygen, but how would they have evolved to be able to hold a breath for that amount of time? How would they have? If it was over millions of years. Because I honestly doubt that many land creatures would have been in the water for that long. They would have all become exhausted and died. This is what they would have done. Just use a bit of logic. It doesn't make sense. Now, evolution is definitely biologically impossible. It's you know, they never really evolutionists never really consider the actual possibilities, how it actually is impossible. You should never consider that thing what I just applied to you about whales. Now, sure, there is a useless bone, but I've already explained plenty of times in a fallen world, and it does come with many deformities. Now, this is quite a long article, so I'm not really going to be reading the entire of it. Now, basically, it's speaking of the proteins. And that was the probability of it evolving one molecule of one protein, the chance of 10 to the power of 75. We see that it does not satisfy criterion, the chance of 1 to the power of 150. The simultaneous ability of two molecules of one protein may satisfy the criterion, but they will be far from necessary complete from creating a living cell. Basically, it's talking about the proteins and how it's not really possible. There'd be multiple configurations. It'd be too much of a random process, and the process. What they're saying would be too random for it to evolve the entire species. Let's say that one of them mutated. That doesn't mean that many other people are. No, it's mostly the breed and the fact because you cannot breed outside your own DNA. That's not possible. And the fact is, evolution, it'd be too random. Look at this. Look at how many chances that is to one that he speaks of. I'm going to leave this article in the description, by the way. The fact that it's biologically impossible, you can go and read it all in the description. It's just the fact that it's too random. The probability is extremely low, and it's too low that it'd even happen, according to science. It's not really possible that it would form a living cell. Now, the only logical possibility is that the designer would design and build the entire structure. That's what my opinion is, anyway. Now, yeah, you can go and read this whole thing. It's a great article because we haven't witnessed evolution. We've witnessed microevolution, and there's a difference between microevolution and actual evolution. Like, you don't. Thing is, evolutionists, they never really consider that thing that I presented to you about the whales. It's true. Too many missing links. You cannot. All life systems were created by God. It's like. It's like. Not just that. It's like, for example, I'm going to give you a scenario here. Say, because they say there's random mutations and most of them die. Say if you mutated, somehow you had a mutation, like you had a deformity. That doesn't mean the rest of our species is going to suddenly get that. It doesn't make sense. It would take too long, and the possible probabilities are too low. The whale doesn't even make sense of evolving, and you cannot breed outside of your own DNA structure. You cannot change DNA to a certain point. Eskimos would have fur all over them. They would. That's the way evolution would indeed work. But no, they don't have fur all over them. And people who live in like tropical areas would have like silver skin or whatever, but they don't, to keep them cooler. But the answer is they don't. They go down there. Yeah. Yeah, you can just see and now you can see it even says a human being still evolving. They're suddenly saying that it is impossible now. Bit of coincidence that. It's a bit weird. It's somehow impossible now. So the moment they actually come up with this theory, they say that human beings can no longer evolve. Do you not think that's a bit dodgy? I think it's pretty obvious that it's actually just a lie that's been fabricated up to turn people. And yeah, it's just a fairy tale for adults. Genetics even prove it. As you can see, this clear says you could go check this out if you want. It's all been. You can check this out. Check all these out. It's just not really possible. It doesn't make sense. Like, there would still be other kinds of monkeys evolving to like humans, or at least some form of that. We can't see it happening today. It's really not happening at all. Genetics have actually proven it. Like, Dr. Sanford was an evolutionist, but he changed his mind. Ooh. Okay. It says that Dr. Sanford was an evolutionist, changed his mind. I was totally sold on evolution. It was my religion. I defined how I saw everything. It was my value system and my reason for being. Later I came to believe in God. But this still did not significantly change my intellectual outlook regarding origins. However, still later, I began to personally know and submit to Jesus. I started to being fundamentally changed in every respect. This included my mind, how I viewed science and history. I would not say that science led me toward which is the experience of some. Rather, I would say he opened my eyes to his creation. I was blind, and gradually I could see. It sounds simple, but it was a slow and painful process. I still only see as through a glass darkly. I see so much more than I could before. We go down. Now, mutations are word processing errors in the cell's instruction manual. Mutations systematically destroy genetic information, even as word processing destroys. Errors destroy erased information. While there are some rare beneficial mutations, even as there are rare beneficial misspellings, bad mutations outnumber them, perhaps by 1,000,000 to 1. So even allowing the beneficial mutations, the net effect of mutation is overwhelmingly deleterious. The more mutations, less information. This is fundamental for the mutation process. He's basically saying here, whoever mutated like 1,000,000 to 1 would die. So every 1,000,000 of the mutated, 1 would survive. Most mutations are bad. We can see this today in like deformities and stuff. There are mutations, they do exist, but they are mostly bad. If there was one good mutation, that doesn't mean the entire kind would get it, because first of all, you got to work out the chance of that person getting a mate, and second of all, if that person did get a mate, that would be just them with those mutations. It hardly means the entire kind would get it, if you understand what I mean. It hardly does. We really have to work this out and how likely it is those people would die. It does not get rid of the old kind at all, because they would intensively outnumber them. It would massively. It says natural selection does help. It gets rid of the worst mutations. This slows mutational degeneration. Additionally, very rarely, a beneficial mutation arises that has enough effect to be selected for, resulting in some adaptive variation, which is microevolution variations within the kind, or some degree of fine-tuning. Now, Dr. Sanford has written a book. Go and check it out. It's called Genetic Entropy and the Mystery of the Genome. Selection slows mutational degeneration, but it does not even begin to actually stop it. So even with intense selection, evolution is going the wrong way toward extinction. See, if evolution was true, we would be extinct, or we'd be going towards extinction. That's definitely not true. Look at the population. The population's rising. We're not all dying. It would point us all towards extinction if that was the way it worked. And not just that, if evolution was true, then we would not all be evolved to the same thing. There's too many of one animal, if that makes sense to you. It just honestly doesn't make sense. We would all be becoming different, incredibly different, to the point where it would there wouldn't be 7 billion humans anyway, because we'd all be starting to look different. All humans would not be evolving to become the same thing if it was true. We'd all be becoming multiple different species, and people would say that's happening with monkeys. No, it's not. because we are completely different than monkeys. Surely there are similarities in the DNA, but that does not prove anything. I would like to use a comparison here. iPhone and iPod. Two systems created by the same creator, but with different like things. They're two different devices. That's the same with monkeys and humans. Doesn't mean that we've evolved from them. No. It means that we had an amazing creator who had a great design, and that is it. That's just basically. It's not really hard to grasp. Evolution is basically impossible when you think about the claims that some people are making. Like, you really have to think about the claims, and you really have to think about just use your logic. Think about how it would even work. It doesn't. Even an ordinary person could just think about it and say, wait, that wouldn't work because of this, that. Especially the fact that people believe that a whale used to be a land animal. It really would not work. You really have to really think of the mutations the whale has developed and think about the fact that it's just really kind of impossible that it was used to be a land animal, because the fact that it would have died in the sea, it doesn't make sense at all. And people really have to start think about this, because like creationism, that is the truth, and Jesus is the truth, the way, and the life. Genomes are all degenerating. It's powerful evidence that mankind must be young. So here we go. It says the problem of genetic entropy, that genomes are all degenerating, is powerful evidence that life and mankind must be young. Genetic entropy is also probably also the fundamental underlying mechanism explaining the extinction process. Extinction in the past and present can best be understood, not in terms of environmental change, but in terms of mutation accumulation. All of this is consistent with a miraculous beginning on a young Earth, a miraculous beginning, a young Earth and a perishing Earth, which will wear out like a garment. Only the touch of the Creator can make all things new. So the degeneration kind of proves that we're on a young Earth and that our species is young, and this kind of disproves the old Earth evolution theory. Now, all the problems with the evolution theory, as outlined in Genetic Entropy and the Mystery of the Genome, his book, have now been rigorously proven using numerical simulation. The fact is, we would all die. If evolution was true and these mutation theories were true, we would all die. And I think it's a bit of a coincidence how the moment with evolution, most people are starting to buy into this stupid theory that people are suddenly, scientists are saying that humans have stopped evolving. Oh, so you're saying the moment we actually start to have this theory, so you're saying to me that the moment we actually, that this theory is basically getting loads of light, that it's impossible? Really? So it's now impossible? Because the thing is, these elitists who are basically feeding us these lies, they know it's false. And they're even saying it's impossible. It's impossible that the you reproduce. It's stopped. That's what they're saying. They're all saying it's stopped. Multiple sources have said that evolution stopped, but that's not true at all, because it's never happened. Microevolution, as I've already said, exists, but human beings have quote-unquote stopped evolving because we never have evolved. That's the fact. Suddenly, it's just a coincidence how the moment people are starting to look into this, that they say, oh yeah, evolution has stopped, because they want evidence that we're evolving now, and we're not. That's why they're saying it stopped. It just doesn't make sense. It's just because they know for a fact that it isn't true, and people are going to look into this because they need to give us a reason that it stopped, and it therefore it's like, it's just so, I can't believe we can't see it. Like, the claims that the Satanic Illuminati is running it, people say it's stupid, but when you actually do the research in the Satanic Illuminati, you'll realise that it's true. And the same way you research the fact that Jesus Christ existed, and that he's the way, the truth, and the life. And the fact also works whenever you research fully why evolution is false. I already explained the whale thing, and now we're just giving you the fact that these mutations would kill us off. We'd all die because of these mutations. Most mutations are bad, and it's extremely rare when a good mutation would happen. And if a good mutation did happen, then it's extremely likely that would spread the entire species. Not just that, that'd just be a variant within a kind, aka microevolution. It does not change the actual species. You cannot evolve. You cannot evolve or mutate like without outside of your own DNA system. It just doesn't make sense. We have one DNA system and we cannot reproduce outside of it. Like, sure, you have different kinds of dogs. You do. You have different kinds of dogs, and that is a habit that is variance within the kind, microevolution. However, you don't see dogs going around becoming cat-like or anything like that. Now, I understand what the theory of evolution is. I understand what the theory is. I understand that it's not very sudden. That it does take time over like a long process. But it's the thing: DNA will not mutate, and it will not become a completely different kind of thing. It is scientifically, biologically impossible, and these mutations they'll be extremely too random and extremely the probability is too minimal for it to happen on such a large scale. That's why we could not possibly come from monkeys. We just couldn't have. Like, I'll find some now. Have come from monkeys. We couldn't have come from monkeys. We couldn't have come from monkeys. Ugh. I understand why all primates evolved into humans. We are not descended from monkeys. Let me see what this says. Natural selection. There we go. Then why don't we see any transformation in today's era? Now here we go. It says in the course of 300 plus years of selective breeding, not evolution, Siamese cats went from looking like brutal guard cats to be original bred to be fragile animals. Now here's the thing. Sure, that is microevolution. Microevolution. Variance within a kind. But now he's claiming over 10 to 20,000 years selective breeding, the dog breed, whatever, like he's just going to go on saying millions of years. Millions of years. That's what people are going to say. Now, I'm not sure if this guy's actually defending evolution. But yeah, I think he is. You can look at the differences, see we are different. Our theories have evolved simply from when we assume that goats and sheep would be striped if they looked at fences. I think that looks like he's talking about a Genesis there. Now, see, this is the thing. They're claiming that we are from. I understand that this would still be apes, but here's the thing: they are not our primates. It's biologically impossible. Oh, he did. No, you didn't. We could have been created in God's image. Here's the thing. We can see all these things saying we couldn't have come from God's image, but none of them ever taking the fact that we are fell. Now, if we resemble apes, doesn't mean we evolved from apes. Here's the thing. He has a point. There should be another kind of monkey evolving right now. Human-like, with not loads of hair, but not minimal hair. This is just true. Couldn't have come from monkeys. Here we go. This is the one I felt. I think this guy's gonna be a troll. Oh, it's taking forever. Yeah, this looks like it's gonna be. We share a common ancestry. No, we do not. You have no evidence about this. Too many missing links. Well, here we go. So yeah, this guy is basically saying that we couldn't. Well, it's a troll. I need to find it. There was an article which basically destroyed him that I found. Because evolution is going to play into the transhumanist thing. Because now, because we can't actually evolve, they're going to use transhumanism. I mean, humans and monkeys are different. Now, here's the thing. We would be able to breed with monkeys. We would. Different. Not related. We're not related. We are not related at all. Like, no, humans and monkeys are both primates. No, we are not. Sure, no, 6 to 8 million years ago. We don't even know if the Earth was here 6 to 8 million years ago. It wasn't. It's only like 6,000 years old. But, and I'm actually going to do a video on the young Earth. And here's the thing. I'm trying to find something, but the thing is, the mainstream media, like the elite, are just going to throw this all down our throats. This is why I can only find this, because believe it or not, Google is censoring the truth. It censors the truth and feeds lies. You know what? I'll just find something else. Evolution is stupid. So it is stupid. It is stupid. Like, I've already given you the whale thing. Eskimos would have more. There we go. Jesus is Saviour. Boom. Evolution makes no sense at all. I just don't see what any person doing such nonsense. I mean, have you ever seen an ape that could be taught to do algebra? No. Other than most basic skills, which a dog can also be taught, an ape does not have the capacity to learn anything but anywhere near the human level. Apes are dumb. You can say a dog is smart, it might be, but it can't have logic like a human being can. Furthermore, if we evolved from a lower species, then why is it that apes didn't evolve in the evolutionary process? Come on, folks, you don't need a PhD post-holding to figure this out. Where are all these half-man, half-ape fossils? Yes, which should be abundant in the Earth's soil layers. And I mean, there should be half-man, half-apes today. There should be them. There should be them today. I've already stated this plenty of times. These should exist today. He's got a Helmo, simply because he lives in my age 12. Yes, hold spirit. See, Bible is true. If you accept Jesus Christ, then you will know this. You have a spiritual rebirth, and it will be amazing. Like, the one-cell structured living organisms, why didn't they evolve? That's true. They're saying that we all started off as one cell, then why do we still have, like, bacteria and stuff? Why don't they evolve now? We can't ever see them evolving today. We cannot. That's because they never did. They were always there. They have a purpose. They were not there to evolve. Evolution is in direct opposition to the Bible. See, here's the thing. Apes and monkeys would be smarter. You would at least be able to teach them stuff. At least they would be smarter apes. They would be, but you can't find them. Sure, you get the odd one or two, but nowhere near to a human level. They would still be evolving, and eventually they become human-like, because humans are superior creatures. You can see that with the brains. We were created to rule the earth. Now, where's the thing? I understand what evolution is. Well, I understand the concept of it. But the thing is, here's the thing, right? Yes, I understand what it is. I used to believe this, but the thing is, now I've grown, I've critically thought about it, and I've realized that it's false and Jesus is true. This is the realization I've come to, especially that your satanic Illuminati wants us to believe that it's true. You've got to take that into account. The satanic Illuminati are trying to shove it down our throats. Well, actually, it's evil. It's an evil theory made by the satanic Illuminati, and it's completely false. Completely false. It fails many things. It will never become a horror science because it was right with others. This is why it's still called a theory. They shouldn't be teaching it in schools. Now, I'll tell you why they shouldn't be teaching it in schools. Because it's not been proven yet. We cannot observe macroevolution. Sure, teach natural selection, teach microevolution, but don't teach macro. Why? Because macro is evil. It's false. It's a lie. We shouldn't be wanting to be taught this. No. Don't. If you're going to teach it, then teach it as a theory, not as a fact. Because if you teach it as a fact, then you're basically making the belief misleading them because it's not a fact. So teach it as a theory, if anything. But even that, you should teach them it as a theory if they go to a specific scientific school. But if you are a teacher, teach it as theory. Don't teach it anyway. Don't teach it anyway until it's proven. That should be a law. But wait, it won't be because the satanic elite wants to believe it. It's scientifically impossible. Life did not start, blah 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 blah. Kids are taught that that life can evolve given enough time. This is a false statement without any scientific support. They are taught that if given enough time, a monkey at a typewriter could punch keys at a random and eventually type President Abraham Lincoln's Gettysburg Address. This is nonsense. It's actually brainwashing kids into conforming to a system that they are not allowed to have individual thoughts or opinions. It is conforming them. Now, close the missing link. Oldest human ancestor discovered. Why do they claim to the above discovery close to the missing link? The answer is simple. Look at the picture. It is a monkey. It is a monkey. A monkey species that has become extinct. Lots of species have become extinct. Millions of species have become extinct. It is obviously not similar to a human. Look at the feet, with the big toe spread from away from the smaller toes. Exactly like a modern chimpanzee. Not people. A newly discovered extinct species do not prove that a missing link has been found. This is what I mean. They can't find the missing link, but the fact that they discover an old missing species does not, in fact, prove that a missing link has been found. Here's another thing. You have all these quote-unquote missing links that they need to find, and these other links that keep finding. But here's the thing. You'd be finding more fossils that would be more evident through changes. They would literally be able to see them every single step of the way. The fact that they had evolved properly. But we can't, and there's still too many missing links to even prove the theory of evolution. This is a theory and should not be taught in schools as a fact as it normally is. And if they're going to teach it at schools and everything, it should be as an unproven theory. They should stress this out to them, that it's just a theory. They shouldn't even teach it in public schools anyway, just in a scientific school for theories, for people who want to research these theories. And yeah. Now, the living fossil fish proves that evolution is wrong. Now, there was this fish that was touted to be a transitional form with half-formed legs, primitive lungs, ready to transition onto land. The myth was exploded under century. Blah blah blah. It did not have half-formed legs or primitive lungs. It was simply a regular fish that people thought was extinct. Evolutionists claim the 350 million year evolved with that into animal legs and feet. This is not the case. We can now see a fish is caught exactly like the 350 million year fossil. So yeah, this is it. This is evidence that. So yeah, anyway, just don't believe this lie. This is all James saying.